Opening night for Almost Maine.
What?
You're not a lobster man.
No.
I guess I thought everyone from Maine was a lobster man and talked in that funny way they do.
You're not down south. You're up north. And this is how we talk up north, pretty much.
Oh.
Plus, ocean's a couple 100 miles away. Be an awful long ride to work if I was a lobster man.
Yeah. Well, anyway, thank you. Thank you for letting me stay. I've had a bad enough time of things lately not to be given a bad time here.
So there we were, trying to get a bunch of teenagers to kiss on stage. And let me tell you, that is hard.
Almost as hard as making the show happen in the first place.
Well, not really. When we started the drama club, we had never heard of Almost Maine.
When we started the drama club, we were outraged that there was no theater at the high school. In a community like this, where there is space for pretty much everyone's voice, there wasn't a space for the youth voice.
We were determined to change that. We created a drama club and started reaching out to local thespians who could help us figure out how to put on a show.
People started to get excited and began reaching out to us about our brand new project.
Our voices were heard. The next year was a flurry of emails, meetings, and time we didn't have. Most of all, it was an exercise in trial and error. Luckily, we had the very generous support of experienced community members.
After several failed attempts to pick the performance dates, the production team, the show, and hundreds of tiny details we hadn't foreseen, we ended up with a plan for a spring production of Almost Maine.
We used every method possible to get students involved, including frenzied poster making, social media, repeated harassment, and shameless flirting.
Sadly, I was not subject to the shameless flirting. I was intrigued by the idea of something new. I showed up to auditions with a couple of friends, and the show began.
We didn't have the money for props, costumes, or sets, so almost everything we had was homemade or belonged to the students. We had to compromise our rehearsal schedule for sports practices, and one student quit 3 days before opening night.
But we knew that we could push through. The show must go on. Kari and another cast member learned the students' lines.
Students stepped up to take on both roles of actor and crew member. In the end, it all worked out. We opened with a strong sense of pride, family, and achievement, made even better by the fact that many high school students showed up to support.
Our voices were heard.
This fall, we undertook the daunting task of putting on a musical. Even though Footloose was more challenging, we had the success of the first play under our belts, and many of the same people were prepared to help out.
Again, the students were amazing, helping to run rehearsals, making sure everyone knew their lines, and taking initiative to practice the songs and dance moves.
We opened Footloose, and yet again,
our voices were heard.
We learned that as young people, we don't have to wait for opportunities. We have the capacity to create them. Even though more qualified people would have been better suited to starting a theater program, we were the ones who it impacted, and our desire made it happen.
Youth can affect change.
It is time for youth voices to be heard.
But as a young adult, it is difficult to let go of insecurities and step out from the protection of your image. That is why it is important that we provide positive outlets for students.
Theater is a safe space where you can be heard, loved, and respected.
When I was younger, I felt like theater was the only place where I could be celebrated for being myself instead of trying to fit in.
Acting enables self-discovery through investigating the perspective of your character.
Conquering your fears and confronting the issues tackled in the show forces you to grow as a human being.
We saw this in drama club as students began to take theatrical risks and speak out.
One student participated in theater for the first time in Almost Maine, going from quiet to confident and enthusiastic. She was so excited about her newfound passion that she raised money for herself to go to theater camp.
This type of transformation is why we believe theater is important in schools. It gives students a new way to express themselves and find their confidence and creativity.
Theater frees you to expose your emotions and make courageous choices.
Some of my favorite memories from Footloose are of cast members dancing spontaneously together, because they didn't care if they looked silly.
Students who normally wouldn't have access to live theater came to our show, uniting the audience and the actors in an experience of shared humanity.
That is what theater does. It connects us through the stories we tell.
In Shakespeare, the iambic pentameter of the verse imitates a human heartbeat. For example, if music be the food of love, play on. If music be the food of love, play on. We'll say it one more time, and then everyone join in. If music be the food of love, play on. If music be the food of love, play on.
By sharing this heartbeat, we're sharing what it is to be human.
A Spanish-speaking student once told me that in Footloose, I touched good. At first, I was confused, but then I remembered. In Spanish, the word tocar means to touch, but it also means to play an instrument, to perform. He was telling me I acted well, but it was meaningful because theater is about touching the soul and connecting with humanity.
Art helps us to see people with different perspectives. Its eye-opening nature makes it an effective tool for social change.
In the past year, we have been exploring the idea of using art to speak out. One of our passions is climate change, and we wanted to see what we could do to make an impact. The Climate Arts Project was born.
This fall, we put on playwriting and spoken word workshops, and this spring, we will be presenting student work in a showcase about climate change.
It is important for youth to be involved in the debate about environmental issues because we are the ones that will have to deal with the consequences, and it is our future we are polluting.
Our voices must be heard.
We are hopeful that our showcase can make an impact.
Whatever our futures hold, we anticipate hearing young adults speak out, and we hope to see theater become more accessible to students.
We are here. We are passionate. We are ready to make music and art and theater, and we are ready to be a force for good. It is time to hear the youth voice. Thank you.